already handled, thank you.
Oh.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, with the Son, and with the Holy Spirit. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession, was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my Mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. All right, have a seat. Take out, please, your practice test. Was there anybody else who needed to have the non-real number worksheet checked out?
Me.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. Save.
Well, I don't have the.
So chapter 14 practice. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I was hang on a second. Computer's being a little annoying. Question. Can somebody look at the practice exam? I just need to double check the first question is is the first practice 3 over 4? Or is it something else? 2 over 5. Okay, that's a different version. Yeah. Wow.
January 17th, 2022.
2 over 5, you said? Yeah. 2 over 5, got it.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't have the practice test.
Ah, that's right. Let me grab you one.
You can't see?
Fill in the answers as you go, and then you can use it to study.
Okay.
Number 1, they gave you 2 over 5. Write these down, please. If they match mine, great. If they don't, write in mine. The decimal is 0.4. Or you just put 0.4.
Wait, what?
0.4. Number 1, the first blank. They gave you a fraction. You fill in the decimal and the percent. So the decimal is 0.4. The percent is 40%. Don't forget the percent sign. If there's no percent sign, put it in. You'll need it. Let me open this up. Full size. Okay, there we go. Number 2. They gave you 0.305 as the decimal. You had to go back and find the fraction, and then forward to find the percentage. The fraction is 61 over 200. 61 over 200. If you had 305 over 1,000, that's correct, but you have to reduce. And the percent is 30.5%.
Good job, Mary.
Number 3, the fraction is 7. It's on the top is 713, and on the bottom is 10,000. And the percentage is 7.13%. And it repeats up to number 3. Mm-hmm.
What?
What's the decimal? You know, they gave us the percent.
They get, which what?
They gave us the percent, but they didn't give us the decimal. And you said the percent instead of the
Oh,
decimal.
what was I reading?
That's
Wait a
good
second.
question.
Hold on. Wow. Okay, yeah, I read the wrong thing. 0.0713. Yeah, I forgot to box one of the answers. Did we cover that? Number 4. They gave you 5 over 6. The fraction is 0.83 with the 3 repeating. So 0.83 with the bar over 3. And it's 83.3 repeating percent. If you just put 83.3%, that will not give you full credit. You gotta do this. And do not put a repeating bar over the first 3. You can't repeat before the decimal. Okay.
Oh, what was the decimal?
Let me look again. The decimal is 0.83 repeating. We can go through why are there 2 3s here and only 1 3 here. I'll explain that later, but mainly I have to move the decimal 2 spaces. If I wrote it out the long way, it would look like that. So I scoot the decimal over, and this takes care of the repeating. But I had to have at least 1 3 in front of the decimal point. Alrighty? Number 5, they gave you 0.4 repeating. That fraction is 4/9. And the percentage is 44.4 repeating percent. 44.4 repeating percent. So bar over the 4 after the decimal point. Any repeats so far? I can actually scoot over here so
Yeah.
people watching at home would actually see me. Hi, y'all. Number 6. They gave you the decimal of 12.12 repeating percent. It's easiest to get the decimal first. I'll just show you on the board. 12.121212 blah 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 percent. To go back to a decimal, you move the decimal 2 spaces to the left. So what it really is 0.121212. And an easier way to write that is 0.12 repeating.
Wait, what is?
I got that right.
That's the answer for the decimal for number 6. Okay. And the fraction is 4/33. If you do 12/99, that's correct, but you have to reduce. It reduces by 3. Number 7, by the way, I forgot to mark it, but number 7, the fraction part is extra credit if you do it on the test. So if you get it right, expect to get +1 extra credit on that.
Just one? What about 10?
No, hold on. The decimal they gave you is 0.2 with just the 3 repeating percent. Sorry, not the percent.
I'm done.
They gave you this, 0.23, blah, 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 blah. Getting the percent isn't that hard. Just move this over. So it's 23.3 repeating percent. That's not too tough, so that's not extra credit. The other one is, this one you have to have what's called the repeating decimal algorithm in order to do it. It's 7/30.
Okay.
What is?
If anybody had 21/90, that's correct, but you have to reduce.
Yay.
Okay? If you did not get the fraction column on that, don't stress it. It's not a regular problem. Yeah, I don't know why, but that got dropped. Any repeats on the first page? All right, moving on. If something is irrational, you don't necessarily have to explain. If something is rational, you do. So number 8, irrational. It's nice if you know the reason. Any square root of a non-perfect square is guaranteed to be irrational. Pretty much always and forever. Number 9, rational. That's repeating. 2, 3, 4 repeating. Number 10, irrational. Pi is irrational, and anything times pi is irrational.
Wait, what was 9?
9 was rational, because the decimal is repeating. Any decimal that you can predict is rational. Yeah. Okay. Number 11, that's irrational. There is no discernible pattern, no repeat. Number 12 is rational. First of all, you could write it as 10.0, and that doesn't, the decimal ends. And you can also write it as 10/1. The definition of a rational number is you can write it as a nice fraction, round number on top, round number on the bottom. Or you could also say that the decimal is ending or repeating. In this case, both of them would work. So if you said it's 10/1, I'll accept it. If you said it's 10.0 and it doesn't go anywhere, I'll accept it. Number 13, rational. It's either, it ends as a decimal, or you could write it as 23/10. Number 14, irrational. The radical 3 destroys it. Number 15, rational, because you can write it as 0/1. And also, it's a decimal that doesn't go anywhere. Gotcha.
Can you repeat verse 14?
14 was irrational. 13?
15.
15, rational.
That doesn't, that.
Any repeats on that page? Yeah, right.
What was, 10?
10 was irrational. Anything with a pi in it or anything with a radical that doesn't reduce in it is irrational. Pretty much guaranteed. Unless it reduces out, cancels out or something. Everybody good? Number 16. What is the formula for the circumference of a circle? You can tell me one of these two. I decided you don't have to give me both, just one, pick one. Just be aware that there are two of them, and one of them might be easier to use. It's either C equals 2 pi r, or C equals pi d. Question?
What if we put both?
Both is fine. I'm not gonna give you extra credit, but,
Why?
sorry. But,
You should.
bravo, yeah, Bryce.
Does it have to be in that order? 'Cause I did D pi.
D pi, technically we put the coefficient in front, and pi, even though it's weird looking, is a number, and D is a variable. So you put the numbers before variables. It's kind of like 5x instead of x5.
Will you lose points?
Otherwise it looks like D to the power of x, of pi. Yeah. So I would, yeah, write it as pi times D.
Yeah, but what if you jump?
But when you
How about let's not let's not make up our mind ahead of time to do things wrongly. Yeah.
But isn't it when it's an actual number, you hit the actual number before the pi?
They're true. It's like the highest priority are nice numbers, then non-nice numbers, then variables. And as long as it doesn't look like it's something's under the radical accidentally. So like, if I had, I don't know, what's radical 3 times pi times 6? I would write that as 6 radical 3 parentheses pi. I would not write it as 6 radical 3 pi, because there's a danger of thinking the pi is under the square root. But this would be the accepted way to write that. I've also seen people do this.
What?
Because there's really an argument for which one is worse, pi or radical 3. And people just say, if you write it like this, you don't even have to worry about the extra parentheses. So they're like half the books in the world say this, half the books in the world say this.
11.
You have just fallen into a war between two camps of mathematicians, so don't get shot. Just pick one. In other words, either one of these is fine. But I would not do this. The second half looks good, but the pi should be after the really nice number. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. Number 17, the area of a circle. There's only one formula. A equals pi r squared. I gotta tell you a story about that later.
No, now,
But
please.
no, sorry. Delayed gratification. Number 18, they gave you the radius of 14 inches. Anytime they give you units, you gotta give me units back. And the right units, because the units might be different depending on what you're measuring. If the radius is 14 inches, the diameter is 28 inches. The circumference is 28 pi inches. And the area is 196 pi square inches. By the way, for square inches, you can either write it this way,
Anyway.
or you can write it as that. I'll accept either one. These are two different ways to write square inches. So either one is fine.
Wait, is it fine if you did the 2 lines and then squared?
Unfortunately, no. That looks like 11 squared. Yeah, I tried that once on a test and I got 4. So, welcome to the club.
It's multiplying square root.
Moving on.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we did.
Yes. The diameter is 28 inches, circumference is 28 pi inches, area is 196 pi square inches. And here's what I was saying on here. Square inches can be written this way or this way. Number 19, they gave you the diameter. Smartest thing to do is go back and find the radius, which is 11 centimeters. Then you can get the circumference, which is 22 pi centimeters. And the area is 121 pi square centimeters. And it repeats so far. Here, Number 20, they gave you the circumference. The easiest thing to do is go back and find the diameter, because diameter is easy to get from circumference. take off the pi. The diameter is 16 feet, which means the radius is 8 feet. Once you get the radius, then the area is easier. The area is 64 pi square feet. Make sure it's square feet and not regular feet. And don't leave a blank either. Any repeats on number 20? Number 21, they gave you the area, 16 pi square millimeters. I would go back and find the radius first. The radius is 4 millimeters. Then you can find the diameter, which is 8 millimeters. And from the diameter, you can find the circumference, which is 8 pi millimeters. Any repeats on that? 22. They gave you 5 pi. This is starting to get strange. 22, 23, and 24 are challenging. They're going to take the longest. They're not going to take a huge amount of time, but you do have to be careful. I would go back and get the radius. The radius is not a whole number. It's radical 5.
Let's go.
Radical 5 inches. It's radical 5 inches, which means that the diameter is 2 radical 5 inches. Please do not put radical 10. Radical 2 times radical 5 inches. Then use that to get the circumference. 2 radical 5 times pi inches, which is kind of a situation like this. I use parentheses, 2 radical 5 parentheses pi. You could also do 2 pi radical 5 if you want, because half the mathematicians of the world would agree with you. I'll just leave it at that. 23. 16 pi yards is the diameter. Now that's a little weird. Why is there pi in the diameter? I don't know. I just threw it in to be creative. Question.
What was the area for 22?
Oh, did I not give the area? Oh, the area they gave you. 5 pi.
Oh, right.
Square inches. Number 23. It's okay. No, you can. Let me see.
Oh my gosh, that looked like pencils.
The circumference, diameter is 16 pi yards. Go back and find the radius. 8 pi yards. 8 pi yards. Now go forward and find the circumference. You have to take pi times diameter. So 16 pi times pi, that's 16 pi squared. 16 pi squared yards. Not square yards. 16 pi squared
Can you say it again?
yards. For circumference?
Yeah.
Yeah, 16, then pi squared, then yards. Make sense?
So good.
Then the last one is area. Go back to the radius. It's the radius squared. So it's 8 pi times 8 pi, and then times another pi. So that should be 64 pi cubed square yards. 64 pi cubed square yards. Does that make sense? Wow. There's a typo in my answer key. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I was wondering why that. I couldn't fill it out.
Oh, did I send you the answer key?
What? No, but the 10 inches, how do you do that? The circumference is 10 inches.
Oh, number 24? Oh, no, that wasn't a typo.
It's not?
I was
Okay.
talking about there's a typo in my answer for 23. It didn't affect you. 24. Yeah, this was interesting. The circumference is 10 inches. You notice there's no pi? I went backwards and found the diameter. How? Let me show you. Suppose the circumference is 24 pi inches. I'm just making that up. Don't write it down. Can somebody give me this? Circumference is 24 pi. Let me get this down so you can see. Can we give it the diameter? Yeah.
24 inches.
24 inches. How did you do that mathematically? I mean, you just drop the pi, but that's not mathematical. What did you do? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide?
The 24 by pi.
Bingo. You're dividing by pi. So on the diameter, it's 10 over pi.
That's
10 over pi inches.
I'm sure it is wrong.
10 over pi inches.
How are we supposed
That
to
means
do
that the radius is half of that, which is 5 over pi inches. And that you use to get That you use to get the area. Now be careful. I'm going to do this on the board. The radius is 5 over pi.
25 over
Inches.
pi squared.
The area, what I do on an answer key, I write these out, pi times blank squared. That's what I do for the quadratic formula, when I do blank. Write this out. Now, math people, do you do the multiply by pi first, or the square first? The square. Order of operations says do exponents before multiply. So this is going to be pi times square fraction. Go.
Do the top and the bottom.
Do the top and the bottom. 25 over what? Pi squared.
It's gonna be like pi.
One of these pi's cancels.
25 over pi.
25 over pi. Square inches.
I don't like my life.
Got it.
You seriously just guessed?
Just slow down and be careful on 22, 23, 24. If you write out the formula and do the algebra, it's a lot easier than trying to do it in your head. Doing it in your head is a nightmare in number 22, 23, 24. Any repeats so far? Alrighty, whoops. Hang on a second.
I don't like my life anymore.
Oh, my, oh, please.
It's true though.
Number 25. I need a formula. I want the area of the shaded region. All they told you is that the radius was 12 centimeters. I'll give you the final answer and then we can work this out a little later if you want. The shaded area, it's 2 terms. It's 576 minus 144 pi, and you leave it like that. And at the end, put square centimeters. Yeah. Yeah. 576 minus 144 pi, and then square centimeters. Right.
What if we put, like, the square centimeters after the 576 too? Like,
576 square centimeters minus 144 pi centimeters, square centimeters. That's okay. And it repeats up to number 25. Yeah,
What's the extra credit to?
I'm about to. I haven't read those yet. Blah, 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 blah. Extra credit number 1. Simplify completely. Now this was a little annoying, I'll admit, but you take 2 plus 3i times 2 plus 3i times 2 plus 3i. Do them a pair at a time.
2 plus 3i.
It's 2 plus 3i parentheses cubed. Extra credit number 1.
what's the circumference of
Wait a minute, do you have a different question?
is 11 centimeters. Find the
Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. Wow, never mind. Forget I even said that. Wow, never mind, I deleted that off. Extra credit number 2, this should be a little better. If the circumference is 11 centimeters, find the exact area. This is a lot like problem number 24. So if you got 24 right, you have a fighting chance of getting extra credit number 2 right.
Nope, got it wrong.
The circumference is 11 pi.
Yep.
The radius, the circumference is 11 centimeters, my fault. The radius is 11 over 2 centimeters.
Yeah, I got this one wrong.
The area is 11 over 2 centimeters squared times pi. Now, hang on a second. Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd, hold on.
Oh.
There's a typo in my answer key again. I gotta fix this bloody. Let me start over.
I'll get 100.
Welcome to my life, sorry. Clicky pencil, don't. Okay. Listen, please. There's a bunch of chit chat going on for the last 15 seconds. I can't progress. Hello, Brendan. Let's try this again. Circumference is 11 centimeters. I'm just going to do this in my head. Sorry. The diameter is 11 over pi centimeters, which means that the radius is 11 over 2 pi. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. That's how I did that. So 11 over 2 pi, let me just write this out. The circumference is 11 centimeters. So the diameter is 11, what am I doing? 11 over pi centimeters, which means that the radius is 1/2 of that, which is 11 over 2 pi. Does that make sense? And then the area, again, I write this out detailed. Pi times radius squared, this thing squared. 11 over 2 pi, bless you. And it's going to be square centimeters.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Over here, do the exponent first. Pi times, the top is going to be 121. The bottom is 2 pi times 2 pi, which is 4 pi squared, centimeters squared. And one of these pi's cancels, because it's over 1. Final answer, 12 over 4 pi, 121, oops, over 4 pi centimeters squared. There's your answer for extra credit 2.
Wait, that's.
Oh, good. That's a good sign. Extra credit number 3 or number 2? Let me make sure that the numbers are right. Oh, number 2, wow. That thing just fell off of my, okay, let me mooch off yours, because my answer key is it looks like somebody ate it. Using the picture from 25, if somebody needed to trace every border, how would you do it? What distance would they cover? Now, in the original, let's not, listen. Up on the top, it said the radius is 12. Did everybody get the fact that the diameter would have to be 24?
Sure.
That's the width of the square. That's also the height of the square. It's 24 by 24. So that's how you get 576, 24 times 24, by the way. Now, how do you get all the edges? Don't take the area, take what's called the perimeter. Add up all the sides around. 24 plus 24 plus 24 plus 24, 96.
80, or not 80, 40.
But you also have to trace around the circle, which is called the circumference. That's called 24 pi. So it should be 96 plus 24 pi centimeters. I think that's it, yeah.
Let's go.
So 96 plus 24 pi centimeters. That's the answer for extra credit number 2. 96 plus 24 pi. Write that down, please. It's not on my answer key, so I'd have to do it again by hand if you don't. Extra credit number 3. Is that the one where let's make sure you have the right, you and I have the same thing. Is that the decimal for 4.5678 with just the 7/8? Okay. Hang on to your hats. This is questionably fun. Without a calculator, this does get a little intense. I'm not going to make one this big, even on extra credit on the test. But the answer, if you put, here's the unreduced version. The top is 5 digits. 45222.
45222.
And the bottom is 9900. 9900.
Wait,
Yeah, the top is 45222. The bottom is 9900. This would need the repeating decimal algorithm. I can show you that in a little bit, but yeah.
Is there 3 2s on the top?
There are 3 2s, 45222. And the bottom is 9900. It does reduce, which is the annoying part. The reduced version, this would give you, what I'm probably going to do on this one, because since it was so intense, if you get the unreduced version, I will give you full credit. And if you get the reduced version, I'll give you credit beyond that. So the reducing is hard. It's, I think like 5 goes into these. It's intense. The reduced version is, the top is 7537
753.
over 1650. Question, Isabel? Yeah, straight. Any questions? Yeah.
I got that one wrong.
The reduced one?
I didn't even.
7537 on the top.
I just wrote no solution because yeah.
And the bottom is 1650. Yeah. Hard does not mean no solution. You can trot that infomercial out.
I got bored.
Uh-huh. It doesn't mean boring either. It means there's none.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
Brief now.
Yeah.
All right. I'm open to questions. We have 20 minutes-ish. Yeah.
It's the
You'll
answer
get
to
credit
everything.
in heaven, but not on the test.
Why? It's the answer to
Not
everything.
even
So.
just plus.
No.
You don't you want Earth to be like heaven? For everyone to be happy, so won't you like imitate the actions in heaven?
Who made math?
God.
He's
Is there math in
he's
heaven?
the answer.
No, because
Yep.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's just you won't be stressful. You know, everybody will be perfect at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you do them all number 22?
All of number 22.
Sorry, square.
Yeah. Okay, I do need everybody's attention. The chit chat has gotten a little loud. Stay with me. Is everybody focused? 22, if you have it, great. If you don't, listen up. If you do, please stay quiet for the people who need to listen. 22 looks like this. They gave you the area. It is 5 pi square inches. The only thing I know how to get from the area is the radius. Just as a quick example, if I had given you 100 pi square inches, can anybody tell me the radius? Go. 10. How do you get that so fast?
Divided.
Not divide.
Radicalize.
Yes. Square root. What you do is you drop the pi and you square root. So divide the pi off and then square root it. Positive square root it. That's exactly what you're going to do here. Radical 5. Because this is pi times radius squared. That's another way you could do it if it gets done.
It's like a rainbow.
If area is pi times radius squared, let's write it in. 5 pi is equal to pi times radius squared. If they give you the area, plug it in for the area. That always works in algebra. If you have a value, you can plug it in as long as you have a variable there. I want to get r by itself because they want the radius. Divide both sides by pi because that's farthest away. I know I have r squared equals 5. One more step. Square root. So r equals plus or minus square root of 5. One of those makes no sense. Eric, which one? Yeah. Explain. Okay, let me ask you again. One of these, this is positive radical 5, negative radical 5 for radius. One of these makes no sense.
Oh, negative?
Wow, how come? In general.
Can't square root negative?
No, I'm not square rooting a negative. There's no negative inside.
What?
Don't whisper.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Why would negative radical 5 be a bad answer for radius?
Oh, negative.
It's negative.
Not there.
Yeah, you can't make a negative length. You can't have something be negative 5 inches long or negative radical 5 inches long. So you throw that away and you've got radical 5. Radical 5 what? This is square inches, regular inches. To get the diameter, make it twice as big. So it's 2 radical 5 inches. Does that make sense? And then circumference is pi times diameter. So multiply this by pi. So 2 radical 5 times pi inches. And that finishes the problem. Does that make sense? Okay. Next. Yeah. 23. Yeah. They give you 16 pi as the diameter. Let's just put it down here. 16 pi is something. Yards? Interesting. We rarely use that. What's the easiest thing to find? Yeah.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Hurry back. 16 pi yards. I want to find the radius, diameter, circumference, area. We already have the diameter. You can can you find one other thing? Actually, Mia, help me out. Getting the radius or getting the circumference are the easiest of the two. Not necessarily easy, but easier. How do you get the radius?
It's half of the thing.
So what is it? What's half of 16 pi? Half of 16 is 8. What's half of 16 pi? Think of this as being like 16x. What's half of 16x? 8x. Exactly. 8 pi. That makes sense? 8 pi yards. Half of 16 pi yards is 8 pi yards. Just like half of 16x yards is 8x yards. Same thing. Circumference. Who else? Who can tell me how to do that? Yeah. Isabel. How do you get circumference again? There's two ways.
Diameter.
You second?
Square the diameter.
Don't square the diameter. What's the formula for circumference? C equals what?
C equals pi d.
Pi times diameter. So the C is equal to pi times the diameter. What's the diameter in this case?
16 pi.
So what's pi times 16 pi?
16 pi squared.
Exactly. Yards. Yeah, the fact that it's squared didn't come from the fact that we squared this. It came from the fact that it was another pi multiplied in. So the 16 is not square root, the pi is. That's just kind of an accident. Area. How do you get that? Anybody? What's the formula for area? And again, don't try and do these in your head, especially if they're icky numbers. Write the formula. Yeah, good. Pi times radius squared. Correct. What's the radius? 8 pi yards. So what's 8 pi times 8 pi? Anybody? Yeah, it's 64 pi squared and then yards squared. So pi times pi squared is, yeah, it's 64 pi cubed yards. Make sense? Again, take these slow and write the formulas out. Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it supposed to be yards squared?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you. Next. Go on. 24. Okay. I think we did that on the board earlier. But I can do it again. 24. Does everybody have these up? 22? 23? Anybody still writing? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. I need to spit this.
Yeah, I like those.
I like this. I just like the page.
24 looks like this. We've got a radius, diameter, circumference, area. They gave you circumference of 10 inches. Circumference is a weird thing for them to give us. The only thing I know how to get from circumference is diameter. Like if they had given us 25 pi, no, not 25, 26 pi inches, could you give me the diameter? Not quite yet. Circumference,
Oh, just 26.
yes, exactly. 26. Now you can go back again from there and get what? 13. So from here to here, you just divide by pi. From here to here, you just divide by number 2. Does that make sense? And then over here, you just use the formula. A is equal to pi r squared. So up here, do the exact same thing. It looks weird, because normally you just drop the pi. Do it mathematically. Divide by pi. What do you get? It's not a whole number, it's a fraction.
10 over pi.
Exactly. Just leave it as 10 over pi inches. So what does that make radius? What's half of 10 over pi? 5 over pi. Yeah, do not cut the bottom in half. Only the top. The bottom never changes. You need a common denominator, you need a regular stable denominator. Now, area is equal to pi times radius squared. So it's going to be pi times that squared. So we do this, exponents before multiply, order of operation. So do it for me. What's 5 over pi times 5 over pi?
25 over.
Yes, and one thing reduces. Yeah. Right, one of the pi's cancel, leaving a single pi left behind. So your final answer should be 25 over pi. And the units are square inches. That's it. Any other questions you want to see? Yeah, Catherine.
Can you do 25?
25, yes. The radius of the circle is 12, and the circle is inside a square. You do have to know that a square has equal sides. We call it congruent. Pretend it's a circle. Looks like an egg. Now, if the radius is 12, you can draw a radius any direction you want. I would humbly suggest that drawing it diagonally would not be helpful. If the radius is 12, I'm going to do it straight across. That's one of the most helpful ones. What would this one be?
12
Another
centimeters.
12. Can anybody tell me the distance all the way across?
24.
Yeah. Anybody tell me the height?
Probably not.
Because here's another radius.
Oh,
Here's
it's
another
the
radius.
same.
The exact same thing. So to get the shaded region, let me see if I can draw this. In order to get the shaded region, it's kind of like when you're cutting out pieces of paper with scissors. What you do, you take the square minus the circle.
The square.
You take the entire square and then take scissors and cut out the circle.
Circle.
And then find out the remaining area. So if you find the area of this, and then minus the area of this, you're done. The area of this is 24 times 24, which is 576.
Times 24, which is
Minus, and the area of the circle, which we just got done doing a page on, is pi times radius
pi times
squared. 12 times 12 is
144.
144. So it's minus 144 pi. That, make sure you put centimeters at the end, squared, is your answer. Just leave it, because they're not like terms. One has a pi, one doesn't. So you're done.
Okay.
I do not want a decimal for that, definitely not.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Decimals and I have an uneasy truce. They don't bother me, I don't bother them. Questions? Yeah. Number 4, yeah, let's go back.
Can you do this?
So they gave you 5 over 6? Yes. People are wondering, how do you do this without a calculator? Excellent question.
Just put my solution.
Long division.
I can't do that.
Put a decimal in the exact same spot as down here. 6 goes into 5 0 times. 6 goes into 50, that's 48. So it goes in 8 times. 48, take that away and it's 2. 6 goes into 20, that's 3 times. That's 18.
Yes.
So, okay. And then it's a 2. Oh, interesting. Look what's
Oh,
happening.
so it's repeating.
Exactly. So you can just write this as 0.83 with the 3 repeating.
Wait, which one's that?
That is number 4 for the decimal
4.
part. And for the percent part, you just move the decimal over 2 spaces, and it'll be 83.3 repeating percent. I promised you I'd tell you this story about
Oh, yes.
the
I'd
area
like
of a
to hear
circle. Did I tell you this story before?
that. No, probably not.
I don't think we did area before, but anyway, the story goes, there was a family that lived in the Appalachians.
Wait, is this true or false?
No, I hope not. There's a family that lives in the Appalachians, and they prided themselves on never sending their kids to college. because they were just suspicious of all that book learning stuff. You gotta go, you just sit here and you go down there and you run yourself on the farm and you just, everybody stays on the farm and everybody just does a good time and don't get your brain all messed up with that book learning stuff. So they barely sent their people to high school and they said, just tolerate it, son, until you get here, then we'll put you behind the plow and everything's happy. So finally, one of the sons decides that, you know, Paul, I want to go to college and see what all the ruckus is about. I go, can we like save up some money and just go for a semester? And I said, all right, son, you go back and you tell us what you get out of that, but don't you get your head messed up with that book learning stuff. I tell you, it messes with your mind. You get them books, and books is all goofy. All right, Paul. So he goes off to college. And he comes back at Christmas. He said, well, Paul, I'm back. I said, all right, son, we've been sitting here all nervous, like thinking like your head's gonna be all messed. So what'd you learn? Let me hear it. I said, well, Paul, I learned that pi r squared. I said, now, son, I knew they was gonna mess with your head. Everybody knows pi, and now it's squared, pi around. Cornbread is squared.
Wait, why did he call him by his first name if it was his dad?
What?
Why did he call him by his first name if it was his dad?
Pa.
Oh,
P-A. Not Paul. Pa. So they say down in the South. Papa. Short for Pa. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Can you do number 2?
Yeah, I can do number 2, point 305. Let me get some space here. You got about 5 minutes, so I have like 3 problems left, and
and
as
then
far
we
as
have
speed goes. Point 305. First of all, question: is this decimal repeating?
yes, no.
Which one?
No.
No, there's no bar, so there's no repeating. So, look at the last decimal place. What place is that?
5. Oh, 100, thousands.
Which one?
Thousands.
It's the thousandth place. What you do is 305 over 1,000.
Which one are we doing?
That will actually get you some points. This is problem number 2.
Okay.
That will give you some of the points, because this is correct, but it does have to be reduced.
Okay.
What does it reduce by?
5.
5. Definitely 5 on top. Let me know how many times does 5 go into 30?
6.
6. How many times 5 go into 5?
1.
1. How many times does 5 go into 10?
2.
2. 5 goes into 0?
0.
5 goes into 0?
0.
There you go. 61 over 200.
Divide by 5.
Make sense?
30,
And then the percentage,
and then 1.
moving 2 spaces to the right, would be 30.5. Don't forget to put the percentage sign.
Watch me mess up like I'm really
That makes
dumb
sense?
things.
Any others? I have time for 1 or 2 more if they're quick. Yeah. 6. Yes. They gave you 12.12%. I don't need the supplementation. 12.12%. I would not do a fraction on this yet. Okay, first of all, it's a percentage. Can somebody give me the decimal? Brendan, knock it off. And by the way, go for it. What's it as a decimal? How do you do that?
Move it 2 spaces to the left.
Correct. What would you get?
0.12 repeating.
Yeah, 0.1212 repeating, which is just the same as 0.12 repeating. Does that make sense? It's just 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. Can somebody give me the fraction now?
12
Go.
over
Yeah.
99.
12 over 99, which is true. That'll give you points. Reduce it.
I know. You just reduce it by 3.
3. How many?
Oh, gosh.
How many 3s on top?
4.
How many 3s on the bottom?
11.
That'd be 9.
I don't know.
33.
33.
There you go. That's your fraction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Again, number 7. Did anybody want to see number 7, the fraction? That is extra credit. Okay. 0.2 with the 3 repeating.
What time is it?
Here's how you did that. This, you need what's called the repeating decimal algorithm. So here,
37.
the very first thing you do is capture all the non-repeating. then let's just call this x, because I don't know what it is. That's the whole point of them asking. What's the fraction, is it?
It's no
What the
solution.
fraction is it? That makes no sense. What fraction is it? I don't know. So let's call it x. Now, I need to capture all the non-repeating things. So how many spaces do I have to move over to do that? One. What do I multiply by in order to do that? 10.
They can't see you.
Do it to both sides. 10x equals 2.3 repeating. So step one is capture all the,
Now they can see you.
capture the non-repeating stuff.
There's some, oh.
The next step is to capture one repeat. How much do we have to multiply by to catch one repeat?
One.
Just another one.
Oh.
I mean, know what it would look like? Now, you'll have to, how do you do that again? Multiply by what? By another 10. What would that make this? Yeah, it'd be 100.
Good job, Mia.
100x equals, what would this be? 23, what am I doing? 23.3 repeating. That's actually the core of the problem. All you have to do now is take the big one minus the small one. Take the 100x, I'm just rewriting it, minus the previous one. So minus 2.3 repeating. Maybe see what's going to happen. What's 100x minus 10x?
90x.
90x. Equals, what's 23.3 minus 2.3?
21.3.
The 0.3 is canceled because you're subtracting it off,
21.
and it's 21. You can finish the problem now.
21 over 90.
Got it.
I got it right.
It does reduce though.
Oh.
Goes down by 3. 7 over
over 30.
30. Got it. That's it.
I'm so bad.
Does that make sense? And that, by the way, is how you do that big mega X problem on the last page. This algorithm. Yeah,
So that would just be extra credit.
correct. The entire problem, you could leave 7, the fraction part blank, and you would not lose any points. If that makes sense. If you tried it, nothing to lose. Good? We're out of time. Please stand. Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. See y'all later at home. Somebody hit the record
I
button.
would love to.
Thank you.